KROE. That's 672-5763. Now, your host for Public Pulse, Aaron Palmer.
And good morning, Aaron Palmer on Jackson Electric Open Line.
That's right. The Friday thing's always a little different, right?
I had to stop and think about that for a minute. Joining me this morning, as always, every Friday, Steve Sisson.
Here we are.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
We have some interesting stuff coming up a little later, which we'll talk about when it's time. But let's go ahead and just go to the poll question for this week, because it was kind of an interesting one. And the results that I looked at earlier, I don't know if they've changed, but it was quite decisive.
Yes, I'm wondering. This is pretty close to the most lopsided poll we've ever done, I think. I can't think of one that was higher than this. The question, sponsored by First Northern Bank of Wyoming, is: are you happy with the work concerning property taxes by the legislature this session? And we had the yes, no, undecided options. And if I go from the bottom up, we had just 7% saying yes. They were satisfied with what they did. 12% were undecided. And then 81% say no, they are not happy with it.
I am not surprised. Are you?
I am not surprised, no.
I talked to both Senator Kinski and Representative Crago, and then yesterday, finally, Representative Western, and they all were pretty upset that the legislature couldn't get anything done, and I don't blame them. I mean, there were 20 some odd bills that were introduced that had different ideas of how to address property tax reform to give relief to, residential pet taxpayers in the state. And I guess two got through eventually. But one made it through on its own. Then they had to re-bring up the second one. And basically it was a constitutional amendment which passed. But that's just going to give, a smaller portion of the population a little bit of property tax reform. And the rest of it's just like they kind of hung us out to dry.
I think that's the general consensus. Yeah, that's certainly how it feels.
It does. And it's upsetting. And I talked to both Crago and Kinski about this, and I asked them because they passed the per diem, and they increased that for lawmakers, which went from, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, $109 per day to about $160. Okay. And that went through with flying colors, but yet, it seems like when it comes down to helping the rest of us, they weren't really too. And I'm not blaming those two specifically. It's just the legislature in general. And so little bit of, people not knowing what's going on.
They were hoping for a lot more. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting an indication here we need to take a quick break. So we're going to take a quick break on the Jackson Electric Open Line, 9:30 a.m. and 103.9 FM KROE. We'll be right back after this.
Jackson Electric and you'll see the light. Maybe it's as simple as adding an extra outlet. Maybe it's as detailed as wiring an industrial building. Maybe it's high efficiency LED lighting or a fire alarm system, or phone system installation and repair. Maybe it's data system wiring, irrigation wiring, or electric motor sales and repair. Commercial, residential, industrial, agriculture, above ground, below ground. Call Jackson Electric and you'll see the light at 1851 North Main in Sheridan.
You bagged your trophy elk. Now imagine having its ivory handcrafted into the perfect piece of jewelry. At Legacy Diamond & Gems, their in-house jewelers can take your memory of the big hunt and preserve it into fine pieces of jewelry to last generations. Using your imagination, the skilled jewelers at Legacy Diamond & Gems can create something truly exceptional. Visit them at 11 North Main Street or online at legacydiamondgems.com. Hurry in now.
The following message is presented by Century21BHJ.com.
This is Ken Gould from Northern Wyoming Walleyes Unlimited. Our next meeting is on Tuesday, March 7th at Bighorn Mountain Eagle, 6:30 p.m. Montana Game and Fish biologist Caleb Bowman will be talking about the fish populations at Tongue River Reservoir, specifically the crappie. What has happened to all the crappie? To find out, come to our next meeting. Call 307-751-4047 with any questions.
It's a showcase of incredible feats of juggling, hula hoops, unicycle, aerial, circus stunts, contortion, magic, and audience interaction wrapped up in a blanket of comedy. Sheridan's YO Theater welcomes the Great Dubois, Masters of Variety, to the stage Tuesday, March 7th at 6:30 in a fast-paced, high-energy circus show for all ages. Tickets for the Great Dubois are available now at the YO box office or online at yotheater.com.
Tax season's greetings from your friends at H&R Block. Whether you choose to file virtually, in person, or via drop-off, let's make it a season worth celebrating. File your way with H&R Block and get upfront, transparent pricing, expert help at every step, and a max refund guarantee that means you'll ring in the season by getting every dollar you deserve. All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund. Limitations apply. See hrblock.com/guarantees.
Hi, this is Barb Hodson with your family-owned H&R Block in Sheridan. Visit us today.
.30 a.m. and 103.9 FM KROE, the Jackson Electric Open Line. Aaron Palmer, along with Steve Sisson. And we have a special guest in the studio, actually two.
Well, one of them's more special than the other one.
Right. But, well.
I'll let you guess which one's which.
Exactly. We have Mr. Eli Mosley, who will be performing at the YO Theater tonight along with his band. Good morning, Mr. Eli.
Good morning. How are we?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. It's great to be here.
Made it into Sheridan last night?
Yeah, a little interesting driving conditions for a Florida boy, but,
Most
it wasn't as bad in Wyoming. Wyoming's got their act together. It was all that Colorado snow and all that, and it was just, that was crazy.
That usually happens.
Yes.
Yeah. One state or another. Montana's usually kind of shaky between here and Billings, too, but it is what it is.
It's funny. We were driving yesterday or day before yesterday, and we were in Nebraska, and someone said, "Yeah, well, it's going to be. I'm sure enjoying these roads before we get into Colorado." And I'm telling you, the second we hit Colorado, it was just like hitting a roller coaster. It was like, oh, we're off-roading again.
Well, the snow's probably different for you, but you got a chance to look. Is this your first trip to Wyoming?
Oh, no, not at all. No,
okay.
we played in June. I did the summer concert series kickoff for the Cody Rodeo.
Okay.
And that was an awesome experience. And then we played Jackson the last couple of years, and we're headed there actually after the show tonight. We're headed to Jackson tomorrow. So,
well, I kind of threw my question in because I was going to ask, what do you think of the mountains? But apparently you've been here enough where it's like, that.
No, Wyoming's gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I'm kind of confused about all the white stuff on the mountains right now. I'm not sure what that is. But
that happens, yeah.
Every so often.
Right.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the performance tonight. It'll be 7 p.m. at the YO Theater, and you brought your band with you. And the interesting thing is you have a member that's from Sheridan. Tell me about that.
True story, yeah. So Nick Gale is going to be playing with us on bass tonight. We're really excited about this. Frankly, the show is largely due to his involvement here in town and his family and ties and connections. And it was just, we've been talking about playing out here for a while. And, he saw that we were touring to Wyoming. He goes, well, why don't you come to Sheridan? And I was like, I don't know. Let's work on that. And so he kind of started that ball rolling. But I met him about 2 years ago now. He's going to school in Nashville at Belmont University, and I was looking for a bass player, and he was a friend of a friend, and he came and filled in for a guy, and I frankly liked his bass playing more. He's fun to watch on stage too. He's kind of got this little groove he does. It's kind of everybody watch for that tonight. I'm telling you,
they'll know what you're talking about.
This little sidestep sort of a thing he's got going on. It's kind of cool. No, it's but it's a lot of fun. He's just a great guy, and I'm super excited to be here in the town of Nick Gale.
Very good.
Yes, that's
there
right.
are a lot of local musicians that have taken off and gone to Nashville that are down there now. And explain something to me, because Steve and I are both musicians, and we never really got to the level that you're at. Okay. But back in the day, you could go regionally and go tour here, and there. But it seems to me that there's not really. How do you make a living at this nowadays? Where back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, you could. Is that still the case now?
Oh yeah, no, it is. It's a lot harder. You got to get creative with the income or the revenue streams, if you will, because where you used to be able to take CDs out and people buy CDs, well, nobody buys CDs anymore. I mean, we'll have some CDs tonight for sale, but where 20 years ago you may have sold 100, 200 CDs a night, you're not going to do that you're just not going to do that these days.
It's all MP3s.
It's all MP3s. It's all streaming. So it's trying to get people to stream your songs, which pays, but not nearly as much as it. I mean, I talked to a guy, one of my songwriting mentors that I've kind of gotten to know. He wrote Roundabout Way for George Strait, and he wrote Walk On for Reba, and all these number one hits. And he said, just as you see every year goes along, you make a lot less money per song. A number one used to be worth $250,000 for a songwriter, and now it's, you're lucky if you get 25,000. I mean, it's that would be incredible if you could pull that off.
And that was kind of what I was lending to, or leading to, because it doesn't seem like there's any money really in this, and not just in performances, but across the board.
Well, but on the flip side of that, though, you think about back in the years where you'd have theater shows, and you'd have Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, Waylon Jennings, you'd Johnny Cash, you'd have 4 or 5 mega names just to fill a 500-person theater, right?
Right.
And now we can go fill a 500-person theater from in certain areas. I mean, it's crazy because more people go to shows, and so there's less money coming in, and you just kind of have to figure out where and how that happens. But sometimes the shows, basically, I say the shows and the merchandise are really where you make your money mostly. That does weed out a lot of people. I know a lot of people are making thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month off of like TikTok and just doing goofy videos. And sometimes the things that you think are art and amazing and incredible are going to be just the dumbest thing in the world, and you'll make a video that you think is just an amazingly produced, beautiful piece of art, and it'll get like 15 views.
Yes.
And then like my wife and I a couple months ago, we made this video and posted it. The show Yellowstone is all the rage on social media right now. And so they were getting ready to start the season premiere. And I went, well, I was just coming in from the ranch. We were pushing cows all day, and I was just coming in from the ranch. And I said, hey, while we take the tack out of the truck, let's just throw it in the living room on some stools, sit on the saddles, sip on some whiskey, and watch the opening of Yellowstone. And we put that up. It went to total spends, all platforms were at like close to 30 million on views of this one stupid video of us sitting there on saddles in our living room. I mean, people went nuts over it. And so it's stuff like that. You got to kind of be able to get out of your shell and not take yourself too seriously, but also
we're in the wrong business.
Yeah, I know. Right? And the whole time I'm going, and I'm going to release the most amazing single in the world someday, and it won't get half of this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All
that work.
Yeah, all that work, and it won't touch this.
Okay, we've got a caller, and while I'm thinking about this, if you have a question for Eli or any of the rest of us, you can give us a call at 674-4443 or 672-5763, and we have a caller. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
To be on the line again. This is Gail Simmons. I'm down at the Capitol one last day. I just wanted to call in and give a little context about all the brouhaha around the Speaker of the House keeping bills in his drawer on the 2nd.
Sure.
And so the first thing is that the entire process down here is designed to keep bad bills or bills that are not ready from passing. So there's a lot of wickets that have to be gone through. And in doing so, there's 3 levels of leadership that have the authority granted by the body through their rules to influence or basically kill a bill without having it be voted on. So the first is the Speaker, the President, and they can control the bills that get introduced, either in the first house or after crossover. Then there's the floor majority leader who can control those bills that come out of committee by managing as they are in the what they call the committee of the whole. And then there are the committee chairs who manage once the bills have been introduced and sent to their committee that can manage whether those bills are even heard. So those three positions have a lot of power to just make sure that bills die. And I distinguish die from kill by whether or not there was a vote on it. So there were 493 number bills, 296 in the House, 197 in the Senate. Of those in the House, 24 were not introduced on the first reading, 73 in committee, 40 in the committee of the whole. So the speaker of the floor majority leader alone killed 40 in the House. It was 6-6 and 11 in the Senate, and then they cross over. And so from 197 total in the Senate, 139 made it through. Of the 296 in the House, only 121 made it through. So that was things that died, things that would kill. And the idea is that most of the vetting is done in the House of Introduction. So really, they try to winnow out as many as possible in that first House before it comes through. And so what happened is, in the House, the four that is the brouhaha for Speaker Summers, there was 5 altogether that he held, 4 that were the big issue. There were 3 that the Senate President held. The committee sat on 7 in the House. The floor majority leader sat on 9. And it was only a total of 6 in the Senate. One of the things people have to remember is the rules are voted on by the body. And in fact, the ability of the leadership at all 3 levels to hold has been longstanding, and it's just the way it works. So, to pull out and target the Speaker of the House for doing what all of them do, and in fact are expected to do, is a little concerning. So I just wanted to call and give some perspective on that.
Okay. Thank you so much for your call.
I'm really glad that Gail has a passion for that because, man, that's stuff that some of us would just find mind-numbing. And
yeah, exactly. I was following it this session, and there were times where I couldn't keep up with it. I know, right? Seriously,
Yeah.
and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I would interview Senator Kinski or Representative Crago and would get their opinion on this, that, or the other. And then I'd go to write a story, and it had changed in the legislature by the time I got to the story. So then I had to go back at the end and go, well, here's what he thought about it, but, here's what they did after the fact.
You have to really devote time and energy to that. And for me, that doesn't sound like a good time.
No.
But a good time to me is live music. I mean, that's probably, that's our idea of a good time.
There you go. All right. And we're speaking of which, the Mr. Eli Mosley, who is going to be performing at the YO Theater tonight with his band. 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock, yep.
Okay. Wanted to make sure.
Doors open at 6, I believe.
And tickets are available at the box office or at the door.
Gina, how are you doing over there? You haven't said much.
Is my mic on?
Yes. It is now, yeah.
You had something that you brought in that was right along the lines with this. Tell me what you're doing.
We have lots of country shows, but generally it is a classic country show, and those are really a great sellout for we just had Kathy Mattea and Susie Bogus, and it was standing room only. And we've had Dwight Yoakam and Bellamy Brothers and Sleep at the Wheel, Oak Ridge Boys, Ian Tyson. But this is going to be a really nice change up for us with a new mainstream hot young talent. And I've been listening to him all week, and I'm telling you, it's not something I really listen to much these days, unfortunately, as a newer country. But I got into it, and Vicky came up to my office. She goes, "What are you listening to?" I said, "It's this kid that's coming to the show. He's a kid."
Well,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, compared to you, he is.
Well, I remember when they still called WD-40 WD-39.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
We have this local kid, Nicolas Cage, who is in the band, because this is Spotlight on Sheridan, which is something we do every year for part of our season. So I'd really like to encourage that audience that we had last week to come out, because I was really surprised. I mean, I love that song. He Listens to Country.
Well, thank you.
That is an amazing song. That song should be playing all over the country.
Well, and also to kind of clarify, especially since you got a big classic country following, my influences were not Sam Hunt, Kane Brown, Florida Georgia Line. That's not the sound you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of, I grew up listening to Tracy Byrd, George Strait, Alan Jackson, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard. That's the kind of stuff you're going to get. You're always going to get, especially on the production side, on the albums, you're always going to get steel guitar in every song I record. And we don't have the ability to take that on the road right now, but it's going to be that type of country music. Steel guitar and fiddle is what you're going to be getting.
So you're familiar with the term "four on the floor"?
Oh yeah, I've heard it once or twice.
New country, but it's got the roots in the classic.
Right, exactly.
As a business model, there's Steve is in what, 5 bands?
I had it narrowed down to 2. Now it's just 1, which is okay with me. Yeah.
I can never keep track of what band
Steve's
you're in.
one of those guys that's in high demand. Okay. Real quick here, I just got a little bit of information here from Mr. Tommy. We have 2 pair of tickets to give away for.
Well, thank you.
That
Oh, I'm supposed to give them away.
As in 4?
And pardon?
As in 4 tickets?
No. Well, according to 2 pair.
Yeah, okay.
Don't confuse me.
Gene,
when
this
my
is
mind's
getting
made
too
up.
complicated.
No kidding.
I know I'm old. You got to explain. It's
not even new yet.
Long math.
So, those that are interested in attending tonight's Eli Mosley Band concert at the YO Theater, 7 p.m., and you want to win 2 pairs of tickets, you can text, are you listening? 675-5984. Again, 675-5984. Send a text, say, hey, I want the tickets, and Tommy will
He'll take care of it.
take care of it.
I don't know how he's going to do it. He'll probably, roll some dice or something. Who knows?
I don't know. Anyway, he
I got
passed
one
that
more
along,
thing,
so.
guys. Right,
Okay.
right now on the radio, Alexa, play Eli Mosley. Run those numbers up.
There you go. That's how to do that.
If that actually worked, call in and let us know.
That's amazing.
Looks like we have to take a quick break. We'll be back, and we're talking with Eli Mosley with the Eli Mosley Band. This is the Jackson Electric Open Line, and we'll be back right after this.
Plug into Jackson Electric and you'll feel the power. If it has anything to do with electricity, anything at all, call Jackson Electric. Commercial, residential, agricultural, it makes no difference. Call Jackson Electric. Jackson Electric does high-efficiency LED lighting and fire alarm systems installation. Wiring a home, wiring a business, new electrical service, or enlarging existing surface. Call Jackson Electric and you'll see the light at 1851 North Main in Sheridan.
Rapp Plumbing and Heating has been serving Sheridan since 2010. With all these years of experience, you can rely on them to handle all of your plumbing and heating needs. From new construction to remodels, repairs of existing systems to retrofitting, Rapp Plumbing and Heating can do it all. They are professional, clean, and courteous. Call 429-1196 for all your plumbing or heating needs. As we like to say, if you find a leak, let Dan take a peek.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and stop smoking now without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing.
I don't have any cravings.
You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have ever seen in my life.
It's not for entertainment. It's for results.
Do it. It works. Period.
You've tried everything else. You need to come and try this.
Only $49.99 guaranteed, because don't just cut down, but stop smoking. In addition, lose all the weight, 100% guaranteed with Mark Patrick seminars. Let hypnosis destroy unwanted cravings and lose weight. That's right, the seminar Wednesday, March 8th at the Ramada in Sheridan. Weight loss seminar at 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar at 8 p.m. Registration 30 minutes before the seminar. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. This public service announcement sponsored by Pilch Engineering, serving Sheridan and Johnson counties.
Who's ready for hard-hitting joust action? Chaps is proud to announce our brand new troupe, the Knights of Valor, coming to Sheridan on July 29th. Straight from Tilt TV and History Channel's Full Metal Jousting, they are the only full-contact jousting troupe in the U.S. See you on July 29th. Please like the Tournament of the Knights page on Facebook. Thank you.
Fox Sports Radio is back in Sheridan every weekend on 106.3 FM. Tune into the best sports lineup in the nation all day Saturday and all day Sunday on Sheridan Media's Smart Talk 106.3 FM. The Fox Sports Weekend lineup brings you all the sporting news and controversial conversations from coast to coast. Don't miss Fox Sports Radio all weekend, every weekend on Sheridan Media's 106.3 FM. We are Fox Sports.
Jackson Electric Open Line, 9:30 a.m. and 103.9 FM KROE. If you have a question, numbers to call 674-4443 or 672-5763. I understand we have some callers on hold. We'll get to you as quick as we can, but we want to wrap up with our guest who is in the studio because he's a musician and has to go take a nap.
Yeah, I woke up, did an interview. It's time for nap time.
Yep. Eli Mosley Band will be playing tonight at the YO Theater, 7 o'clock. Tickets available at the box office. And again, if you would like to win some tickets to the show tonight, text 675-5984, 675-5984, and Tommy will hopefully get you set up.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Okay, Eli, talk a little bit about tonight's show. Again, your band, just give us an overview of the musicians that you have, because obviously if you're touring with them, you must think highly of them.
Oh yeah, we've got a guy from Idaho Falls actually. He's our drummer. We call him Critter. When you see him, you'll know why. It's really all there needs to be for an intro on him. But he's an incredible guy. One of my favorite guitarists out of Nashville is going to be here tonight. A guy by the name of Chandler. He's incredible. And of course, we have Sheridan, Wyoming's very own Nick Gale, who's going to be playing with us, and we're super excited about having him. He's been looking
his
forward to
friends and family are going to be here rooting him on.
He'll be the real star of the show. I'll just be up there.
I'm just here to draw the people in for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the opening act. There'll be a 45-minute bass solo. No, it's just kidding. No, but we're excited about it. It's going to be a lot of our music that you've heard on the radio. A lot of country covers from the 80s and 90s. We're just going to have fun with it tonight. Honestly, we're going to upbeat. We're going to keep the whole show upbeat. We're going to just try to enjoy some country music and have a good time together. And one of my favorite parts, remember this if you're listening, one of my favorite parts about playing in a new area is meeting the people there. Currently, I'm working on an album writing songs about the modern day American cowboy with cowboys from all across the country. And what we do is we fly hit writers in, and from Nashville, guys that have written number ones. And for guys like George Strait, Garth Brooks, Joe Nichols, people like that. Anyway, and we fly in one of these hit writers and we write with these cow crews. And so I'm always looking for new cowboys to write songs about their day in, day out lives, and we're trying to put together an album for that. So that's number one. Number two, I just love meeting people in general, and the towns that we come back to time and time again are the towns that just are a lot of fun for us. And so we're hoping to provide an incredible night for y'all. We're hoping that we get to meet y'all and just hang out and have a good time. I'll be at the merch table afterwards if anybody wants anything signed or anything like that. All that good stuff. We're just excited about seeing what it's like to play in Sheridan, Wyoming, honestly. Every time we played in the state of Wyoming, we've absolutely loved it. So we're really thrilled about this.
Okay, thank you. That is Eli Mosley, and his band will be performing tonight at the YO Theater, 7 p.m. Tickets available at the box office. And again, if you'd like to win a pair of tickets, text 675-5984, 5984.
It's KYTI. That's how that works, 675K. Because it's the Coyote text line.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And then just text, I want tickets or something. Okay, Gene has one last thing to add.
Those of you who come just to see the announcer, we want to apologize in advance.
That would be Mr. Gene.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good you said that, I think, yeah.
Those interested
Keep that bar low.
Those interested in seeing traditional style country
with a little bit of energy to it, yeah.
Come see the show tonight, Eli Mosley Band. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And enjoy the show. and hopefully you'll meet some interesting people in Sheridan and get some things accomplished like you were hoping.
I do too. Thank you so much. We're looking forward to it.
We're going to take another quick break and get set up, and all of you waiting on hold, we'll get to you as soon as we get back. This is on the Jackson Electric open line. We'll be back in just a minute.
To the most complex electrical applications, Jackson Electric has the knowledge, the experience, and the reputation to meet and exceed any electrical need or requirement. Jackson Electric's expertise even includes phone systems, data systems, LED lighting systems, fire alarm systems, and irrigation systems. Residential, commercial, industrial, agriculture. If it has anything to do with electricity, anything at all, Jackson Electric does it all at 1851 North Main in Sheridan.
Hey, hockey fans, it's been a heck of a season, and the Sheridan Junior Hawks Hockey Club will end the regular season this weekend. They host the Badlands Sabres in the Whitney Rink at the M&M Center. Gates open at 6:30. They drop the puck Friday and Saturday night at 7:30. Adult tickets are $10, $8 for students, seniors, and military. If you haven't been to a home game this season, this is your last chance. It's the Hawks and the Sabres. Check them out, SheridanHawks.com or on Facebook.
Hi, this is Guy Cameron, Compliance Director for Cowboy Skill Games. This April, Cowboy Skill is expanding their Wyoming locations, allowing for additional revenue to help support our local businesses. Cowboy Skill is proud to be a Wyoming-based company and has earned the gold standard of compliance. To find out more about adding the highest earning skill games to your business and keeping our tax dollars in Wyoming, log on to cowboyskillgames.com. That's cowboyskillgames.com.
Had to find my earbud.
Yeah, earbuds come out and then you have to look for them. They're kind of small, hard to find sometimes.
Yeah. Jackson Electric open line. And the phone numbers to call if you have something you would like to discuss, 674-4443, 672-5763. And caller, thanks for holding. You are on the air.
Is that me?
Yes, it's you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I would like to make a remark about what happened with the property tax bills that went through the legislature. There were 21 of them. They all sank. Now, something that's important to remember, they were killed in committees. They just didn't get out there. They didn't get voted on. 21, that's a lot. Across the board, okay. Now, our county commissioners here in our county raised the salaries, everyone but themselves. Our city of Sheridan, across-the-board salary raises. The legislature raised their salaries. Where does the money come from to pay these increases in salaries? Primarily to adjust to the cost of living around here. Comes from the taxpayers. Back in 1989, the legislature created the four-tiered tax system: mineral, agriculture, commercial, and residential. The hardest burden falls on residents because they can't pass the costs along. If you got commercial buildings, raise your rent. If you're in agriculture, you're the lowest payers. Mineral, ask more for your product. The hardest burden is carried by residential. And it was resisted from 89 until 95 by some of the county assessors. What it is your residential property owner is paying an increase in their taxes on an unrealized capital gain. You don't get that money back until you sell that house. Every year goes by, the house gets older. We used to do cost, less depreciation. We stopped doing it. And by the way, that 89 legislation was sponsored and nursed through the legislature by Cynthia Loomis when she was in the legislature. So this situation is a small scandal in this state, and the nerve of these entities, if you don't think that WHAM, which is the Wyoming Association of Municipalities, or County Commissioners Association, or State Assessors Association, they're all lobbying down there, letting the legislature understand what we want up here. And it's not you or me, household owners, it's what our government wants here. Raised their salaries. The burden falls on the rest of us who are not employed as civil servants. And I just want to deposit something a little different from what Gail let us know, that it was all right and good and wonderful. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. She's got a point, and I agree with this because my taxes went up. Now, let's use me as an example. Okay, I live in Buffalo, and the house that I live in was built in 1940-something, 41, 42. And, it's not falling down around my head by any means. But, I didn't build a mother-in-law house. I didn't put a new fence up. I didn't do any remodeling that would warrant, an increase in taxes. The only thing that happened was I happened to be in proximity to a bunch of houses in my neighborhood that sold for an astronomically ridiculous price. So therefore, the value, quote unquote, of my house has gone up. And so I'm paying taxes on this increased value on my house. But I know good and well that if I was to try to sell my house, they'd come in and go, okay, well, the electrical needs to be redone. The plumbing's probably okay, but it needs upgraded. This needs redone, blah, blah, blah. So all of that quote unquote value that's in my house is non-existent. It doesn't exist. But as far as taxes are concerned, it does.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong.
And I think one thing that really bothers a lot of people too is that you don't see that money unless you sell the house.
Right.
But you're paying on it anyway.
Right. Exactly.
And I don't know how you would address that, but
I don't know either. But there has to be some kind of a fix somewhere. And with all of these bills, as she said, as a caller said, 20 some odd bills, and well, I guess 2 eventually went through. But, a very minute amount of these bills went through, and it just seems ridiculous that they couldn't get anything done.
Right. I mean, because that was the chance to really address this, which obviously a lot of people are feeling the hit, and we feel like it's, we're going to see it again. It's going to happen again.
That's exactly what happened, is that now people are starting to get their tax assessments, their value, and their taxes have gone up again this year.
Yep.
So craziness. Okay. We've got another caller. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. Good morning.
Yeah, amen to everything that you just said. I worked in the legislature, and so I still follow it closely, and everything is not fine and good down there. 27 House Republicans voted against those House rules that, that Gail's like everybody's for. No, 27 Republicans voted against those rules. And one of those rules is to let Speaker Summers, sit on bills he doesn't like. Those are called a pocket veto. It's kind of the colloquial term for that.
Right.
But, people are also fired up about Speaker Summers because he is sitting on multiple ethics complaints against Representative Cyrus Western. Not only for sending out libelous mailers against his own constituent and the daughter of a fellow legislator, but also bullying a young female fellow House legislator. And Summers is just sitting on that, and he hasn't even reprimanded Cyrus Western. So people are pretty unhappy about him for a lot of reasons.
Well, that's interesting because they, on the other hand, Senator Bouchard, Representative, he got chastised there. So why, if these things are actually true, why wouldn't that happen as well with Mr. Western?
Good question.
Because it's political.
Obviously.
And because they're bidding as the whip. Right, everything's politics. No, because he's their lapdog as the whip. He was appointed, Summers, he's part of the leadership team. And so that's double bad on him for allowing that.
Okay.
I mean, Western's refused to cooperate with the Sheridan County Sheriff's Office. And yeah, there's, like I said, Summers is sitting on multiple complaints, and those complaints have been re-referred to the Secretary of State's office.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier that you had worked in the legislature. So
yes.
What can be done?
Got any questions about the legislature?
Pardon?
Got any questions about how legislature
Yeah, the
works?
question I had was, what can be done about this if this is an actual problem? What can be done?
Well, there's 2 cliques in the legislature. It's just like 8th grade girl world. And there is they call them caucuses. There's all these different caucuses. There's the Green Caucus and the Freedom Caucus, there's the Crony Caucus. And, Crony Caucus is the ones who vote for legislation that their friends, that will enrich themselves and their friends. And the Democrats, there's 5 Democrats on the House side, they vote with the Crony Caucus against the Freedom Caucus. So it's basically the small government guys and the big government guys. And it's all about leadership. It's like how many individual members you have in each of the caucuses, because the caucuses vote on the leadership. So, there used to be not that in a red state. It's tough. Red states don't have to fight that hard, because everybody who is going to run as a Republican, whether they believe in that platform or not, because they're not going to get elected in most districts as Democrat, even if they identify more with the Democratic platform than they do with the Republican platform. So you just have to watch how your legislator actually votes on the platform and on the issues that you care about, and then vote for those people. And then I would also ask your legislator who my legislators and the legislators in Sheridan, I know who they voted for leadership. And then you see what leadership does, and you're like, are you cool with that? Because if you're not cool with that, I would be asking my guy or my gal, who'd you vote for leadership and why? Because that is part of the problem. That's who sets the rules for these sort of things. So it's a subtle thing, but it's an important thing. And anybody who's survived 8th grade girl world totally understands that. So I know you were guys in the studio. Go home and ask your wives. They'll be like, yeah.
We survived it in proxy. We didn't really do it. Yeah,
I've heard some stories. Yeah,
I have a daughter that's going through stuff like that right now. So
I had 2 that went through it too as well.
Yeah.
So. All right. Thank you so much.
So it kind of seems like,
welcome.
The solution, as it is in a lot of cases, is we, the people, holding our representatives accountable.
Exactly what I was going to say. We have to get more involved, because it's not just a blanket, here you go to the legislature, do what you need to do. Mm-hmm. Because she's right. Even though there are people running as Republicans, they're not necessarily the type of Republicans that you or I think they should be. Mm-hmm. So it needs to be, there needs to be a close eye set on that, to where you can say, I don't like the way he voted, just like she said, and then hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, there are some, instances with our local legislators where they said one thing, voted a different way, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people would jump to conclusions and say, well, they're a communist or they're this, which is not the case. And if you sit down and talk to them about why certain things happen the way they did, why they changed their mind, are they within their rights to change their mind? Absolutely. But asking them why will a lot of times solve a lot of these issues.
Yeah, and you may still not agree with it, but at least you'll understand why it happened.
Exactly. Yeah. And they may not be, just, thumbing their nose at their constituents.
Right.
We do have one more caller. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, this is Brian Miller at Sheridan County Republican Party.
Hey,
just wanted to follow up on the Speaker of the House issue and putting bills in the drawers.
Okay.
When you look at the last 8 years, that's when it became prevalent. Back when Speaker Harshman got in, there was an article in the paper down in Casper said, yeah, he'd done it and he was very proud of doing it. Ever since then, we've been fighting to keep that from happening, because state statute really doesn't allow him to do that, because it's basically making one person control the legislature, and it's not allowed. So this year, the Speaker got the rule changed, and the rule specifically states that for the 67th legislature, years 23, 24 only, the Speaker of the House basically has full control over what bills make it to the floor. That is a problem, and that is something that I hope that you guys ask our own representatives when they call and talk. Ask them about that, how that rule got in place, because it's an interesting story, and it's not a good thing for the people of Wyoming. We've lost our ability to have our own legislators actually speak on our behalf. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you so much. That is a good talking point with our local legislators. I will make note of that. Yeah.
Get their opinion on that would be interesting.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I think if that's the case, then if it's supposed to go away in 24, maybe we should push that along.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Okay.
I mean, you got to have if your representative government doesn't work, then that's a problem.
Exactly.
Yep.
We've got a couple of minutes here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this one bill, the transgender sports ban, which went through. And in theory, I agree with it, you know, because protecting girls, it's not meant to be a bigoted bill by any means. But it got held up, and then eventually it passed with an amendment that just kind of focused it in on high school sports.
Right.
Which I didn't understand why that needed to be. And then they eventually amended it and passed it to where it was 7th grade up through high school. And that kind of made more sense. But then I was thinking, why are we omitting college age girls on this?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was kind of interesting. And I don't know if this was part of the debate. I wasn't involved in it. But I got to thinking, well, you know, NCAA rules allow trans girls to compete in girls' sports. So maybe our legislators were thinking we don't want to take on the NCAA because if Wyoming passes this law and makes it that way for college-age athletes, all of these other colleges in the country could just say, well, okay, we're not going to compete in Wyoming.
That is interesting. Yeah, I wonder.
And that just came up, you know, me personally. So maybe that was part of the argument. I have no idea, but at least it makes sense.
It would, yeah.
And
what do you have any specifics of that bill? Like, what specifically is it talking? Like, obviously, it's talking about preventing transgender women from competing in women's sports, right?
It's biological males.
Yeah, okay.
That's the definition. If you were born male, doesn't matter what you transition to, you know, whatever. But if you were born a biological male, you are not allowed to compete in girls' sports.
And so, as passed, it's 7th grade through high school.
Through high school, 7th through 12th grades, which is something. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's gone to the governor's desk for his signature. I don't know whether he'll sign it or not. We'll see.
Okay.
Right. I guess that's what we have today. And thank you for joining us. This is a Jackson Electric Open Line. Aaron Palmer, and thank you, Steve Sisson.
And thank you, Aaron.
And we will see you next week.
Eli Mosley tonight, 7 o'clock, YO Theater.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Call Jackson Electric and you'll